Howdy, folks. Welcome
Hello.
to the EB Extra Butter. I'm Mike T.
I'm Dan.
Dan D here as usual.
No guest.
Yeah, you might be wondering something is kind of missing from the setting, and you would be correct. Nothing between the old curtains.
We decided that nobody's good enough to sit in here and talk with us. That's what it was.
We did. We felt like anybody but just the two of us takes away and doesn't add.
Mm-hmm.
And
Stupid comments.
that's going to be our guiding light now.
Yeah.
They're just getting in the way of us speaking. It's no good. But yeah, or maybe it was that it was just kind of a last second lazy Monday, and we thought we'd go check out an afternoon matinee and, just do a little review on our own.
Of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
Little Marvel movie.
Which is about what? It's about
You
somebody...
wanna give the synopsis? Tell
I'm
them
going
about-
to try, actually.
Okay, what is this? What was this thing about?
A quantum...
A lot of quantum stuff.
Quantum scientist, quantum physics, something like that.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas.
Yep.
Great actor. I don't
He
think
has
so
his
great.
moments.
I don't think so great in this, but
He has his
we'll
moments.
get to that later.
I never find him consistently great.
Okay. So he is a scientist, and he works in the Marvel. Like he's part of like the superhero gang, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you were like 90 seconds late, so you missed the initial opening,
okay.
which was kind of like a flashback that caught everyone up. And by the way, we're not doing any non-spoilers. We're just doing a quick spoiler review of this. So if you don't want to hear about the plot and crap, turn it off now. But
we came to trash.
Yeah, the very opening scene is a flashback to when Michael Douglas was like the original Ant-Man with the suit.
Oh, okay.
And him and his wife were stopping like a Cold War bomb coming to Earth. And they couldn't get inside the bomb to disable it, and the only way to do it was to shrink to molecular size.
Oh, okay.
And if you shrink it to
That's
the molecular size, you go into the quantum space. And if you go into quantum space, you can't come back. So his wife did it to save humanity.
Right.
Was lost forever, and thus that brings us to this movie where, they're trying to get back to that quantum space to rescue his wife, and see Paul Rudd is the key to doing that, and had developed this powerful technology to do so, and all the bad guys want it. It's a big race to get it and dominate the world. Endless riches, the usual. Check out this clip and see what I mean.
We unleashed something powerful.
The only chance we've got is together.
There is another person I can think of.
What's up? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. What's up? What's up?
You have no idea what I'm capable of.
She just wanted to give me a hug. Wish me luck.
Really?
Yeah.
Watch this.
Sorry, I'm messing around.
Wish I had a suit. Even with minimal powers. Or maybe even just a suit with no powers.
No.
Alrighty. So,
What did you think?
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I'll ask you first.
Ask me first,
Did
okay.
you like the first one?
That's a good question. And yeah, it kind of paints my opinion on this one probably because I wasn't a huge fan of the first
You
one.
weren't into it.
Yeah, I mean, just conceptually speaking, it's not my thing.
Okay.
As far as a superhero goes, I
Right.
think it's kind of a stupid concept.
Okay.
Personally,
Okay.
it's not my bag.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, and I didn't think the first one did that concept much justice. It's kind of gimmicky. Once you've seen a bunch of little things be bigger than they're supposed to be, and a bunch of big things be smaller than they're supposed to be, it gets old after a while. Paul Rudd's charming for a couple times, and then it's just not really going to carry. A story or a plot or. And and I'm not necessarily a big fan of their kind of approach to this particular superhero universe and this this franchise, in that it's very silly. It's very comedy forward.
It is, yeah.
Which I don't mind. I mean, I love, like we've talked about before in Avengers and things, I love having some lightness and humor and levity injected into a superhero movie. I think it has a great quality if done right, done artfully. But
yeah,
I mean, when it's kind of the driving tone.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of trying to be silly and funny all the time. It just really, I don't know, lowers like the stakes and the thrills and the kind of intensity that I like in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
But it's just so slapstick. It doesn't feel like there's any stakes. There's nothing to be like scared of.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking about this one. But the first one I didn't feel that.
Okay, so you liked the first one.
I did. I liked the first one. But with that
what
said,
did you like about it?
Do
you like the concept in general? Do you like the idea of a superhero that can shrink and grow big? And is that like cool to you and interesting? Is like a superhero concept?
Yeah, I think it could. I think it can be, depending on how you do it.
No doubt.
Yeah, because I think you're right. It is gimmicky, but I think there's opportunities with it, in regards to some of the action scenes. I thought there could have been more like,
absolutely
really cool stuff.
There could have been,
and also now I'm thinking about it, Jackie Chan as the Ant-Man. With all the action scenes that he does and being able to shrink and go back and forth,
they could do really fun, inventive stuff.
Badass
with that idea.
Yeah,
but they didn't like capitalize on that at all in this one. I mean, I didn't feel like there was that much action. Period.
There wasn't.
It was so slow.
There wasn't.
It was literally like a couple action sequences in the whole movie. And there was like one good one, like the one I liked when the Wasp, she went in and she had like that first fight scene, that went through like the kitchen and stuff, and she's like setting people on fire and growing and shrinking to dodge bullets and dodge knives. Like that was fun, and that was a pretty cool action sequence. But like the other one they had, like the chase scene and stuff, I mean, it was just dull. And boring, and there just weren't that many. It was like not a thrilling superhero movie at all.
Yeah, they should have played to that strength, because I think there's so many like cool, like inventive things you could do using that shrinking and going back and forth, especially in the action scene. Like when she shrunk down and sprayed the oil over the fire or something.
Crap like that.
That was cool. The salt bottle.
Yeah, when she threw a salt bottle at the door and made it grow and block the door, and he like ran into it and the salt shook.
Yeah,
that was a cool effect.
I thought that was really neat, but you're right, they didn't really, aside from that one scene, there really wasn't much action.
There wasn't much action,
and the story wasn't good enough to hold interest to me. I don't know. I mean,
the plot was super lame.
And then the other thing is, I kind of felt, I don't know about you, but the title Ant-Man and the Wasp was almost like misleading, because it didn't even feel like they were a duo. Like it didn't feel like they were out like fighting crime together. It was more like her show, I thought, and I actually thought she was good. Like I thought she was one of the better characters in this. I mean,
I agree.
She kind of was interesting to me. I thought his character kind of just was like an afterthought, kind of too goofy, kind of too silly, right? Like I almost felt like he was Dumbo in this one. Like he was just kind of dumb and like didn't have that much to do, really.
He didn't have much to do, you're right. And she was much more captivating than he was, but that's a low bar, because I mean the character in this movie was so cardboard. I mean the villain was so boring and one-dimensional, and like just like her superpower where she just kind of like can't be touched. It was really boring. So like any fight scene with her was just like you try to hit her and your fist would go through her. Right. She could hit you.
Right. There were two antagonists in this movie. One of them I thought was completely useless and cliche.
It's like they just threw him in lazily to up the ante. Well, we could have one person going after the device or two.
Completely. And I felt like they didn't even think about the character at all. Like they didn't put any thought into it.
Which is a shame, because that dude's funny.
He is funny,
and he can bring like hilarious, like maniacal quality to the characters he plays, and they didn't utilize him at all. Same with Paul Rudd. I like Paul Rudd.
You know what's funny? I think, what do we see? Tomb Raider. He was in Tomb Raider. He was the stupid, worthless, cliche bad guy in Tomb Raider too. And I think they saw him in Principals, right? Vice Principals, and said like, oh, he was really good in that,
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Now they're just like churning out this bullshit, and they used him because he was
Yeah.
kind of slimy in it.
Which is fine. He definitely has that lane, you know, where it is like that. He's like that over the top, almost caricature of a bad guy. But I mean, he does it in a very like signature, unique kind of way. That can be really entertaining, but it just
could be, yeah.
You know, yeah, they didn't give him any material to work with to kind of capitalize on that.
didn't.
And again, same with Paul Rudd. I mean, I just felt like he was checking his watch like I was. Like, when is this monstrosity coming to an end?
Definitely, yeah.
So
I noticed like the cliche bad guys always like in a room eating. I feel like always like at a table eating,
slowly eating something.
Yeah, then like super nice and inviting always at first, right?
Yeah,
and then he gets mean and all the bullshit.
Yeah,
it's always the same.
Flips the switch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's hard to create. I was gonna say a good bad guy, but you know what I mean, like an interesting bad guy. Like that's hard because it's been done so much, but. My God, put a little more thought into it than that.
Yeah, or even if you're not going to do something like new and push any envelopes, like just do the standard well.
Right.
You know, God, I mean, I feel like they didn't try to. I don't know. I just
good.
didn't find much entertaining about this at all. The special effects, you know, were very unimpressive and underwhelming. It's just, I don't know. I think it was kind of like it was a reminder of how bad movies can be, you know. It was a cup of cold water in my face because I think I've had a run of watching some good movies.
Yeah, I don't usually jump to the conclusion that this is just a cash grab or like they're not putting thought into it or something like that. So I don't think that's always true. I think people, you know, I think sometimes it just doesn't work for whatever reason.
Yeah, or you can feel some sort of passion went into like some quality of it, whether it's like a beautiful cinematography,
right.
Like they like a lot of thought and like idea and like inspiration was put into who they cast and stuff. But
I didn't feel that in this one.
I mean, it was very like crazy paint by numbers from like a discontinued kids coloring book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Lawrence Fishburne, they gave him nothing to do. He was super boring.
Nothing, yeah.
And just unnecessary.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I found very little redeeming in this movie. I would recommend it to anybody. Like, not even if you're bored, not for Netflix.
Not at all.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how it services fans. Like, I mean, obviously I didn't read the comic books or anything, but even if you're like a huge Ant-Man and Wasp comic book fan, I can really pick up anything that made me think like, oh, if I was a huge Wasp fan, I was like, yes, I'm waiting for that moment when she... What? Nothing. There didn't seem to be anything like... There didn't seem to be any fan service in there for the diehard Ant-Man and Wasp fans. They were just there.
And
it was just there. Everything was just there.
We were saying earlier about the comedy, and I felt like they pushed that way too much, and also that most of the jokes kind of fell flat.
Yeah, mostly.
There was some that were funny, but everything else was kind of like nothing real original, or it just didn't feel like it.
Nah, very, very little was funny. I mean, the only thing that made me slightly fairly amused, I'd say I was actually pretty amused by this, was when they did that truth serum thing with Michael Pena.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I like Michael Pena.
Yeah,
but again, they gave him, I mean, his one-liners in this were just so lame, too.
They're kind of
even for him, it just did not tap into, like, you know, very humorous abilities that he has. But that truth serum sequence where he was telling the stories and like
that was funny.
Everybody was like, you know, voicing the story in his voice as he was telling it. That was pretty humorous.
That was good. Yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny.
But the
woke
rest
me
of
up
it,
from like my eyes closing.
Yeah, the rest of it to me felt confused. Like, did they want to be a comedy or too light?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. To me, it felt like it wasn't serious and it wasn't that funny, but they were trying to push that.
Well, that's how the first one is. They definitely, I think they committed to this idea that we're going to be like a silly superhero franchise. Yeah, but I mean, the casting of Paul Rudd, I think, is kind of a commitment to that. I mean, you cast Christian Bale. When you want a superhero movie of the tone of like Christopher Nolan's Batman, you cast Paul Rudd.
Right.
If you want to do Ant-Man, because
but you can have that and still take this world seriously. Whereas this one, I couldn't take any of it seriously.
No.
I think you mentioned earlier.
No stakes.
It's so goofy that I didn't. Yeah, there was no stakes at all.
No stakes
I didn't care at all if they found Michelle Pfeiffer. If they didn't, I didn't care about any of it really.
No.
So that's what I think. I think that got in the way. Like they're trying to make it too funny. It was too forced, and it was. The jokes were kind of shitty. I mean, for the most part, I thought. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you got to kind of ground the silliness in something. You know, whether it's a good plot or, good character stories and relationships.
Yeah.
And they were all just so like one-dimensional. And
the part that got me was the Stan Lee thing, and I know that they do this in every one.
the Stan Lee cameo.
I know that they do it in every one, and I know it. I know fans really like it and stuff, but. This one, it was so bad that I felt like they're not being serious, right?
It was pretty horrible.
I feel like, come on.
They gave him a line. Does he usually even have a line?
Nah, it's usually quicker. They
just show his face or something.
Yeah, I think, or maybe
he says one word.
He says one or two words.
God, he actually said a line, and it was just it was really dumb.
Yeah,
it was really dumb.
And I don't know, maybe I'm.
And I'm going to tell you what the line was, so you're not curious, and make the mistake of watching the movie just because you want to know the line. Yeah. But they shrink his car as he's getting in, and he looks up at the camera and is like, "I guess all them years of LSD are finally getting to me."
Yeah, the '60s, right?
Or something. I guess everything I did in the '60s is finally catching up to me.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It was really lame. So
that bummed me out, and then. I think the Hot Wheels car. Remember that one looked like Hot Wheels?
The Michael Pena Hot Wheels.
Yeah, I actually thought I thought at first that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I noticed I think it was a Honda.
No, it was a Hyundai. Yeah, it was a Hyundai.
Whatever.
Hyundai got some brand placement in there.
That pissed me off. I couldn't let that go, and that really annoyed me because I thought
you didn't want to see that Hyundai.
I did not because Hot Wheels aren't Hyundais. Hyundais.
I mean, I've never seen an accent with flames on it.
No,
I could be wrong.
Why? Why would you do that? I know, of course, why, but that just bothered me because it took me out of the movie, and I was like, and I know this is crazy, but I thought that was really cool. They made it look like a Hot Wheels, and then it had this stupid logo on the front.
Right.
That bothered me.
And I mean, and is that how the shrinking technology works? It's like you can just literally get a Hot Wheel that doesn't have a functioning engine or mechanical parts.
So I don't know.
And you can grow it, and now just because it's big, it functions
then
like
it
a
functions,
normal car.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. I just kind of find the concept silly. I wanted to see The Purge.
I should have listened.
I wouldn't have chosen this one.
I should have listened because
it's all good.
I liked the first one. I thought.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was not as bad as this one.
No.
The first one was not as bad as this one. And I'm curious if, I mean, of course they'll keep making these, but good Lord, if they step it down to the same extent they stepped down this one from the first one, the third one is literally going to be Paul Rudd in, like a felt Ant-Man cutout suit with a home video camera running around the street. Making cutesy faces and mugging at the camera for 2 hours. That's going to be it. That'll be the whole movie.
They may as well, with Stan Lee.
Because, I mean, there was zero effort in this.
Yeah.
It was...
Ant-Man and Stan Lee. They should call it the next one. Because the first one, at least, he had a lot of character development. Because he was struggling at the start of it. And his whole goal was to reconnect with his daughter. And so there was some movement to that. But this one, he didn't really... His character didn't go anywhere. Yeah,
I mean, in origin stories kind of always have that benefit of... Yeah, I mean, that kind of by definition, because it's an origin story, it's going to be a story about someone going from ordinary to extraordinary. So there's a lot more you can do with that.
Yeah. Even that one Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire went all emo, right?
He did.
So he had, some character development there.
He did. I don't know, man. I mean, it's and to make up for the lack of that angle of a sequel, you've got to do things like introduce really cool characters or really cool villains.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do anything along those lines. So it was just like a lame sandwich with lame garnish.
The seats were nice at that theater. They were.
Always looking for silver linings.
San Mateo.
This guy. They are, yeah. Cinemark's got this like new seat. I think they've installed new seats.
Are they
other
all?
theaters. I think so.
Yeah,
like they all recline. There's a heater
nice.
button underneath.
Yeah.
You can
I
heat
know
them.
about that.
They got like the swinging table with the cup holder.
I know about that heater.
You know about that heater?
I do.
With the multiple settings. There's like a warm and a hot.
Yeah. I pressed it. I pressed it a few times. That was the only redeeming thing about it.
It's almost bad because in a movie like this, it makes me want to sleep more.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. I was getting tired.
Unconsciousness is better than what I'm experiencing right now. But
anyway, that's all. I thought it was garbage.
Yeah, it was real bad.
I thought it was embarrassing.
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. There's like zero entertainment value to this. As far as Pumps of Butter go, I would give this like a 4.
I was right there.
It
4.
It was bad. It was pretty bad.
I'll give it 4.5 for some of the action scenes.
Okay.
That one that we were talking about that was good.
4.4. Okay, I would have given it a 3.5.
Damn.
I'm giving it a 4 because of that one action sequence and because of that Michael Pena, voiceover sequence.
I'm shocked.
That was kind of funny.
I'm really shocked. I didn't think I'd hate this movie. I thought it was gonna be like 6 or 7, like just fun to watch or whatever.
Yeah. No, I didn't think it'd be this bad either.
I actually really didn't like watching it
Yeah.
at all, which is very surprising because it usually hard to screw up that bad. Like usually they're pretty entertaining. Paul Rudd's awesome most of the time. So
yeah, just throwing some cool set pieces and some action sequences, and for the most part, you can probably overcome all those other shortcomings, but they did not do that. It's like, we're going to make a Pez dispenser grow big and save that for the end, and that's going to be like our big finish.
That was the big finish.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So, anyway, people, skip it.
Don't watch it.
We'll hit you on the next one.